out there. Welcome to SoulFood Books tonight. It's a privilege to have you here and to hold a space with you tonight to serve our reason for being here, a place for all voices to be heard and all paths to be respected. And tonight among friends, I hope to open up doors and hear everybody's voices. We've got microphones set up. We don't have to rock out to them when talking. We can just sit in our chairs and they're going to pick up our voices naturally. And tonight we share the stage together. We will welcome everybody online who are watching, and to the tribes out there that look just like us. Welcome tonight. Don't be shy, just let your feelings roll on by. And don't wear fear, or nobody will know you're there. You're there, you're there, you're there. You know love is better than a song. And love is where we all belong. Belong. We belong. So don't be shy, just let your feelings roll on by. And don't wear fear, or nobody will know you're there. You're there, you're there, you're there. You're there, you're there, you're there. You're there, you're there, you're there. You're there, you're there. You're there, you're there. You're there. I see you. Well, I can't keep it in. I can't keep it in. I gotta let it out. I gotta show the world. World's gotta see all the love that's in me. I said, why walk alone? Or why worry when it's warm over here? You got so much to say what you mean what you're thinking, and think anything. Oh, oh. Well, I can't keep it in, I can't hide it in, I cannot lock it away. Well, I'm up for your love, love heats my blood spins my head, and my head falls in love. Oh, love, 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 love. I see you, I know you. Well, I can't keep it in, I can't keep it in, I gotta let it out. I gotta show the world, world's gotta know of the love that lies low. So why can't you say, if you know then, why can't you say, you got so much to say what you mean what you think, and think anything. Oh, welcome. Sometimes all the time, the best things I have to say are in song. And so I wanted to start it out like that. And I think this is the first time that me and Sarah and May have ever sat on the stage and led a night. A lot of times, this is our playroom up here, and so we'll hang out here. And just in the energy of that, this is our playroom. That here, we've held fast that though it's unsafe in some places to talk politics and religion, that at SoulFood, under this roof, it's safe, it's celebrated. It's respected, endeared, and laughed about, all of it. Here, our opinions, to mean something, doesn't mean that another person will believe exactly what you believe. It's just that we have a space to say it and to hear it in another person and respect that. I think that's part of the spirit of this region here, the pioneers of us, who first came here to carve out a place of our own and be together. So Sarah put together pictures, which are what we're seeing right now, of what's currently going on across America in our own homes. A lot of the stuff that you're seeing, you might have seen before on the internet. And the internet is one of those things that we spend time on by ourselves around our computer, and we start to suck in this knowledge, and but rare do we get a chance to actually share what we see and what we're learning and where our consciousness is at out in the open with other people. And those of us who have been watching online have seen that communication is at our fingertips now, which is why we know what's going on, that we didn't have to wait for the main media and the news to find out. And that power of communication is something that we all now know. And now that that's open, what do we want to say?
And one of the reasons why we wanted to come together today is that we always kind of view ourselves as a watering hole. When I look out, most of you I know belong to different groups, and you are doing your own social activism. And so, but one of the most beautiful things about, especially what's happening right now, my mom always says that, you know, change happens every single day, right? It's just how awake we are to the change and how we decide to participate in the change. And what we've been noticing over, it's been a conversation that's happened a lot in the shop, is what we've noticed is that people are becoming more and more awake to one of the many changes that happens in our culture. And this just happens to be a bit of a tipping point at this point in time. And when Clint and I we had this great moment of like, oh, Saturday's not booked. And we both were like, oh, that probably is not the best thing. But then what we realized is this is a perfect opportunity as a community to come together, to be able to share some resources and to be able to find out what you're doing, if you're doing anything, and to be able to share information. Like, so I was a part of the WTO riots when they happened, and I had my other daughter with me, and we left right before they started macing everybody. But one of the things that, while I was there, was one of the most important things that I found was I didn't necessarily know what all my rights were as a protester. And I know that as I've been watching, I know, that was Cookie Monster, good guy. What I've noticed a lot, especially in the current society, is that there is, especially after the riots of the WTO, there was a culture of fear. There's a culture of fear, which I think is actually underlining, my theory is it's the underlining reason why we have a bit of a culture of apathy too, why we don't see more people out in the streets, because it is very scary to go up against police in riot gear when they're saying that we are protecting, you know, maybe it's the corporations, maybe it's something else, and being sprayed with pepper spray is possibly not on your highest list of things that you want to have happen. And so one of the things that in my goal was, I know, that's a dolphin and a turtle, excuse me. One of the things that I really wanted to bring out when we were here today is be able to help also educate people on that level. What are your rights when you go out and you protest? What are some of the good places that can help you really expand your knowledge and be able to take that step, because it's only in fear and apathy do things happen that we don't want to have happen. And it's only when our fear controls us that we are silenced. And that's really convenient for people who like to make big policies. And that's what keeps them in power. And when we were talking about it, what really started the conversation about this for us was somebody had said, oh, have you seen the anonymous videos? And I was like, well, no. And so I went and I looked, and the first thing that hit me was I know it actually doesn't work on that one, but was that there was the part that said, we are the 99%, we will not forget and we will not forgive. And the part of me that understands that if we don't forgive, then we're in deep, deep crap, like we're in serious trouble. And so I started to feel a little bit like I couldn't really join Anonymous because I'm not really into holding grudges because it just sucks up my energy. And so,
Yeah, there's another one. The other kid out there.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
right?
And so one of the things we talked about, and we have a poster that we made today, is that we're part of the 100%, because it's our belief that we're a community, which makes us no different than the people who are running the corporations. We just have opted not to possibly stand up as much as they have. And so by erasing those illusionary lines of power, that's when you get to really step forward and take action. And so that's a lot of what we're trying to do, is to kind of erase the illusions. Yes, thank you for reading that.
Right, and in the different organizations that we see out there right now, the Occupy Wall Street, the Occupy any major city across America, and the different organizations, we're here tonight because we feel passionate about doing something. That something is still what we need to define in ourselves before heading down to the picket lines. Tonight, an opportunity is to have a discussion where we can find a middle ground to at least open up these topics. So in the sense of opening up these topics, we'd love to play a video that we found, a friend sent to us.
It's the coolest video ever.
It's been really inspirational in the rising here, and since Sarah's fingers are at the computer, as we're talking and bringing out points, if there's things that you know that you've seen out there that you would like to raise in our consciousness here tonight, we can ask Sarah to dial those in, and we'll watch those videos too. And so let's start with this one.
Sorry.
It flies under the radar of the media by and large. It is nonviolent. It is grassroots. It has no
Sorry
cluster
about that,
bombs,
guys.
no armies, and no helicopters. It has no central ideology. A male vertebrate is
I
not
know.
in charge.
Sounds like he's underwater.
Hey, let's see.
Flies under the radar.
Okay, but you can imagine it's really inspirational.
It has no cluster bombs. No
I know, don't
armies,
you?
and no
It was the, and this
I
is
don't
it.
think this is a flight to silence him either.
No, I don't think so.
Is not in charge.
Let's see.
This unnamed movement, we can talk about the unnamed movement.
Perfect. All right. Okay, we're gonna just could have probably tested this beforehand. Let's see.
Hello, I'm Severin Suzuki speaking for.
You mute the channel, Joe?
I'm gonna pull the cord. All right, I'm gonna go back to the other one.
It is my belief that we are part of a movement that is greater and deeper and broader than we ourselves know or can know. It flies under the radar of the media by and large. It is nonviolent. It is grassroots. It has no cluster bombs, no armies, and no helicopters. It has no central ideology. A male vertebrate is not in charge. This unnamed movement, you can clap for that, the unnamed movement is the most diverse movement the world has ever seen. The very word movement, I think, is too small to describe it. No one started its worldview. No one is in charge of it. There is no orthodoxy. It is global, classless, unquenchable, and tireless. The shared understanding is arising spontaneously from different economic sectors, cultures, regions, and cohorts. It is growing and spreading worldwide, with no exception. It has many roots, but primarily the origins are indigenous culture, the environment, and social justice movements. Those three sectors and their subsectors are intertwining, morphing, enlarging. This is no longer or simply about resources or infractions or injustice. This is fundamentally a civil rights movement, a human rights movement. This is a democracy movement. It is the coming world. What you're seeing here is the beginning of a list of the 130,000 minimum organizations in the world who work towards social and environmental justice. And that's the minimum. It may be 250,000 groups, it may be 500,000 groups. Read these names. They're unfamiliar to you, most of them, I'm sure, right? They are. We do not know how big this movement is. It's marked by kinship and community and symbiosis. It is Pachamama. It's Mama, right? It's the earth talking back, waking up, you know? What you see is your kin on that screen, you know? And to give you a sense of how big this movement is, if I had started this tape on Friday morning at 9 a.m. when this conference began, and if we sat here all day Friday, all night Friday, all day Saturday, all night Saturday, all day Sunday, all night tonight, and all day Monday, we still would not have seen the names of all the groups in the world who we are. It's so new, we can't recognize it. We're familiar with armies and governments and war and churches and religions, but there's no precedent for what we're doing. What you're creating is completely unknown. It is everywhere. There is no center. There's no one spokesperson. It's in every country and city on earth. It is within every tribe, every race, every culture, and every ethnic group in the world. This is the first time on earth that a powerful, non-ideological movement has arisen. And during the span of the 20th century, big ideologies were worshipped like religion. They dominated our beliefs. This is to speed it up so you don't have to stay here until Monday night. But ideologies dominated capitalism, socialism, communism, right? In the words of Ed Hunt, ideologies stalked the earth, clad in armor. Right? They fought for the control of our minds and the lands, and it wasn't pretty. And we were told that salvation would be found in the domination of a single system. This is where salvation will be found. We know that as biologists, we know that as community organizers, we know that as ecologists. It's found in diversity. This movement is humanity's immune response to resist and heal political disease, economic infection, and ecological corruption caused by ideologies. So it is up to us to decide, how will we be? Who will we be? This is what it is we're building, the capacity to respond. It is about possibilities and solutions. Humankind knows what to do.
Yeah. Any reaction to that? Anyone want to say anything about what that inspired in you, or yeah?
I've heard many times that there's two things. There's love and there's fear.
Uh-huh.
And there's many, many words for fear. Jealousy, anger, those are all words for fear.
Yeah.
It's very exciting to me that the world in large is embracing love, even with all of the fear that they've been trying to throw at us.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about soul food, particularly, and other places like that list that went on, that people are uniting because they've been trying to separate us because we have no power when we're alone.
Yeah.
But when we unite, we're unstoppable, even if we don't have the money.
Oh yeah, it's just our energy, our consciousness, are reflecting it back, are seeing it.
And money is energy. So
Yeah.
we just trade and then we just
Yeah.
that's where our roots are.
Right? Part of the money thing, it doesn't upset me personally that the rich people have the money and the poor people don't have the money. I've been a musician long enough to feel really good about that. My economic stability didn't change during the crash. I so I feel like financially, money-wise, if money is an energy, and we kind of all agree upon that, well, that energy is far out of control in where it's being handled. I saw a hand up. Yeah, go ahead.
Paul wrote a really great book about 10 years ago. It's called Natural Capitalism.
Huh? Yeah. Natural capitalism. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an incredible book, and I read it, and I was shocked because we haven't had it.
Yeah.
It's just gone, and we haven't had it. The solution to that, because things like spiritual solutions are intangible, they're technological,
Yeah.
it's out there, and the whole just that for me, for somebody who accepts this, the big question to ask is why don't we have it?
The big question to ask is, what was it?
Why don't we have natural capitalism?
Why don't we have natural capitalism? What happened in capitalism that it's a long story, right? But a really good question. And that's something has gone awry. Thank you for bringing that up. Other thoughts, Kevin? Yeah.
Well, I think one thing I took out of that, and it's very true, he's talked about the big ideologies, whether it's capitalism, socialism, communism, what have you. None of them have ever been practiced in their pure form.
Yeah.
I mean, what we, the whole Cold War era is where, the United States was terrified of being taken over by communism. What's being practiced as communism
Mm-hmm.
was not communism as put forward by
Yeah.
ideologies, right?
Yeah.
And so we've been at war with these ideologies all this time, and none of them are ever going to be pure. Here in America, here in all of the democracies, every country practices a little bit of socialism to some degree. That's why we have roads. That's why we have schools. That's why we have, some of the common things we share, because that even the military itself is a socialist organization.
Yeah.
So none of these ideologies have ever been practiced in pure form. We need to get away from this warring to think we're ever going to find a true form of an ideology that we're going to follow. So I think the thing is to find, pick and choose and find the best of all the ideologies.
Yeah.
See how they impact.
And part of that, that pureness of an ideology. But we have all these different ideologies and religions represented here, and we study them. In the ideology that is happening through mass communication, the one pure thing that is starting to come up is that enough of us have taken on the responsibility of being alive and awake here, and not waiting for people to give us the permission to make a change in our life. Pure ideologies Other thoughts on that, or on any other parts? Yes.
Just wanted to add on what you were saying. There's been a lot of criticism for this movement of just not having a single plan that needs to be implemented or a single message.
Yeah.
And what that video was saying was that there's power in that nameless, formless movement of,
Really good point.
and that's what we need to move into.
There's power in the nameless, formless movement. How would you pick a leader out of that list that would go? And none of the people at the heart of a movement really are trying to be leaders for the glory of it. We're trying to get the hard work done.
They would have become record producers.
They
at
would have
that
become
point.
record producers, right? Right? That formless. There's something in that formless. There's something in the idea that we all have enough space on the globe to be ourselves. And that by just being ourselves, holding ourselves accountable, there's a unified there's a unified understanding. And you're right. You're talking about the criticism of the people that are on Wall Street or are part of the Occupy movement of not having a specific leader. What's funny is that's not what it's about, right? It's about what do you think it's about? Power to the people is one of the things. What else do you guys think it's about?
Raising awareness.
Raising awareness. Equality. Waking up. Yeah. Being free from slavery.
We talk about money and we talk about, how we are enslaved to this one way of thinking energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would love to see when I'm like, not 80,
Mm-hmm.
but 5 years from now, that America is the leader in that movement of getting us off of the monetary system.
Yeah.
The monetary system is a relatively new concept in human civilization. For a long time, the ones that didn't have little coins with ridiculous faces on them would trade beans and rice in
Right.
their neighborhood. And so, yeah, that's what I see this whole movement going is let's get out of this slavery to bankers and to just one worship of something that's not love and not God.
Right. It's talking about currency and money and that energy, and that's the one way that we have to make an energy exchange with each other. And through the last phase of time in the communities that I've seen and been part of, living up on Orcas Island, they had island dollars where the locals tried to get off of that one system and try to exchange. SoulFood here is another place where trade is bountiful. Other ideas, and how heartbreaking it must have been for our country and for if money is what we hold so dearly, closely to our heart energetically, and that's the one way, when that system crashed, how heartbreaking it would be. It has been to everybody, since we all had our eggs in that basket, and that's been this self-worth that's been cut out of our nation, in the sense that when the energy shifted to feeling like a poor country, the energy also went down, and self-worth went down. And one of the things we try to hold here is honoring that self-worth by just seeing each other. Other thoughts on economy, on money?
Well, I think part of the problem is like when you look at where we are now economically, there's like 1 in 4 children are in poverty.
Mm-hmm.
And, people just are trying to live that,
Yeah.
They're waking up to the fact that it doesn't just come in the supermarket or whatever,
Yeah.
Which is, like you said, a rude awakening. But I guess what really touches me is when 1 in 4 children, the children can't do anything about, it was not their fault, they can't do anything, they don't know enough to do
Yeah.
anything. And yet their lives are being
The chil-
definitely impacted.
They are. They're feeling it too.
Not her, she's in good
Right?
hands.
No, but you're
Right.
right. Yeah, with the
Yeah. And I think, one of the things that's really divisive, we've got this whole left-right thing going on, but as somebody said the other day, it's not about left or right, it's about right or wrong. You know, it's about, do we let people starve? Do we let people go without medical care? Do we let them die? How far do we go with this? You know, what is the, quote, rightness of that?
I ran into that head on when, we have a, see if Lily wants to probably, we'll try that. Sometimes you just want to cry. Okay. We ran into that with our Stop Global Warming concert series in Nepal and Everest. One, when you say stop global warming, everybody just stops. And we've heard the term global warming so much. And the moment that Al Gore brought it to our attention, it became a Democratic policy and not a Republican policy. And somehow, within my perception of the way the politics works, that didn't make any sense. That being conscious, respecting our world, walking forward in a smart way, using our resources to our advantage, I thought was a common sense way that crosses, it's an issue that crosses political boundaries. It isn't a right or left. And thoughts on that? Part of our movements and motions forward, and when a person says, "I believe in saving the trees," or in trying to, global warming is a good issue, is whether it's a point that scientists can prove that it's happening or not, that the idea of keeping our room clean is something that our parents tell us. There's no parents out there right now telling us to keep our room clean. In fact, who is our energetic parents are keeping the waste going, and us kids are waking up to say, I think I need to clean my room. And that's what it feels like with that issue, and when talking politics or when talking about these issues with the people who come through here, which is a vast array of different opinions and backgrounds, everybody shares the same understanding of it doesn't seem like being a Republican or a Democrat keeps us apart here. I think we as a community have kind of risen above that, which we respect whatever team you believe is the one that's, but holding accountability, bringing up politics. Any thoughts on that? There's a video that I want to play, and there's not any kid. Go ahead, yes.
Well, when you're saying politics, I just think about, you know, I hold some energy for the government and voting, and I think that there's power in that. But then the more and more that I learn about this, I just think about corporations and kind of how much more power they hold. And you know, I've read some things about Obama slammed, you know, Wall Street for this, and you know, it's all hearsay now. It's almost like celebrity gossip. So
Yeah.
it's like the government and what is going on in corporations. There's very little connection to that, and so for me, it makes me feel apathetic in that way. Like I just feel like there is no control for me besides not buying things, and you know,
Yeah.
Right?
I have a theory about that. Yeah, well, I have a theory about like everything. This is like one of the many. What I find really fascinating too is that I think there's been an incredible campaign that has happened at this point in time. I'll even get closer. That corporations and people that have a lot invested in being able to keep the status quo has done, and a lot of that has really fed into apathy. There's what I'm seeing is I'll sometimes be the first person to say let's burn down the system because I don't think that it works really well. But I do think that there are some fundamental principles that really do work, and I think voting is, funny enough, is one of them on some level. And the reason being behind is if you take a look at a lot of the like the policies that are being made and the people that are going in there, in my perspective, there's a couple different ways that you can hit people where it kind of hurts. One is the pocketbook. So you can choose to where you spend your money, but two is political pressure on the people who are in our elected positions. And sometimes I feel a little naive saying that just for a lot of the things that I've read. But I also believe that there is some truth. And the reason I say that is about 4 years ago, Katie and I went down to City Hall. And because they ripped up the park over there that had all of the statues. And I come from good Catholic guilt, and I can write a good Catholic guilt speech when pressed, and so I did, and talked to the city council about how, because they tore that down, you know, that's one less place that we're exposed to art, and that how fundamental art is in our daily life and what it brings to a community. And then shortly after that, it was funny, nobody else was really talking about it, but then the Arts Commission and a few other things really pushed through the park that's going over there. And that's a small scale, but what it told me is that even through the jadedness that I have about our political system, it's part of that has been fed to me by people who really want to keep power, because if I don't feel like my voice is being heard, then I'm going to be the first one to flip them off and walk away. I just
they know that.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but what I did learn is that if you keep on showing up, then somebody's going to hear you. And I think that that's one of the biggest lessons of our generation, is to keep on showing up and keep on pushing on that, even if it feels like nobody's listening, because inevitably when you keep on pushing, something can't stand up. It doesn't work. That's my theory.
Okay, you're right. That local government, that our city hall is right down there, 2 blocks down the road, and in my connection with City Hall, of seeing the people there, the real human beings that are serving the posts there, serve first and foremost the ideas of the community, and that very few community members actually show up to give their opinion. Showing up to give their opinion is, in a local government, is a great way to start.
In fact, you can actually, on a bigger scale too, see how that works. Do you guys remember the farm that was down in LA that had like Julia Butterfly Hill, and it was this incredible, like one city block. There was they had a whole bunch of buildings, and they cleared everything out, and then it was just this kind of wasteland that nobody wanted to go hang out with. And then there was a huge immigrant population that looked at it and was like, oh, well, we could actually grow things here. And so they built this incredible garden for it. And then the city had told them that they wouldn't sell it, but then they ended up selling it to a land developer, because LA needed more big tin shacks to store crap, apparently. And so, and what ended up happening is that there were all of these rallies behind it to save it, and they raised an enormous amount of money to save that plot of land. Well, it didn't work. The person who had bought it decided they were still gonna, tear it down and not give it to him. But what ended up happening is that enough people took notice, and they started investing in community-supported agriculture in different blocks in LA. And so now they've taken that model of the farm, and they use it in different places now. So even if you lose one of the fights, you don't lose the battle.
It's a good shift of consciousness as we start to, that was a battle and a protest to save this green space that was helping a community. When that was cut down, instead of taking the power of the victim and continue to mope about that, they rose again in a different form, because you can't take that spirit part away. And a lot of the change that's going on right now, as well as on a spiritual level, the quickening of energy to the 2012 shift. I'm only going to be nervous about that if I'm in a space with John Cusack at that time. I think at that point in time I will be nervous about that. But that's also sitting in our consciousness too, this shift. And how many people have seen video of the Occupy Wall Street? Raise your hands if you've seen. Okay. And so maybe do you want to pull off a video from there to show?
Sure.
Any
Do you have a
re-
specific one?
Any
Do you have a
specific one that
request? Do
you have a mini documentary already loaded? Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we can.
Let's do it. Yes.
You said a minute ago about when the economy crashed
Yeah.
and how that affected our self-worth.
Yeah.
Can I
I would beg to differ just a little bit.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it affected our net worth.
Ah.
I think that our self-worth probably got raised sometimes because the fact that it kind of made us, if people who live in America and never left this country,
Mm-hmm.
they have a really narrow view of what the rest of the world is like.
Yes.
And so, in a way, and like what Sarah just said, when she was talking about the farming activity in LA, which is cool,
Right. Uh-huh.
you said it was the immigrants, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, I think by when the economy did its little tanking thing, it kind of shook our reality a little bit and went, whoa, maybe we're not the great ones of the world.
Yeah.
You know, have all the answers and lead the world.
Yeah.
So I think our self-worth, if we were to look at it from another point of view, actually vibrationally got raised somewhat because now we, like you said, with the internet and everything, we're seeing things in River Square,
Hmm?
you know, China,
Yeah.
all these different places, and now we're sort of following what other people are doing.
Yeah.
In a after fashion.
Yeah.
So I don't tie my words to what the money thing is doing, right?
Yeah.
But it's more about if I feel like not only me and the people around me, but the people in America and North America start going, wait a minute, there are other things going on that energetically, if we were a little less up on the money thing,
Mhm.
like we are so much here,
Mhm.
and in other places in the world too, I think that connects us and unites us a little bit.
It's a really good point. A raise in consciousness is what she's saying with the economic collapse, is a good extreme word, that it actually didn't hurt our psyche, that it actually did shake things enough to open up and kind of unite all of us.
We kind of have a cocoon of dollar bills around us so much
Yeah.
that have that cocoon of
Yeah.
that kind of thing happen.
Right? That's a really good point. Any thoughts on that? Yeah.
AIG did a study, and they came to the same conclusion. Says what has been disappeared is that basically shock. And according to their study, the only way we're going to get through it is by spirit of the human potential. So, God,
Yeah. The only way that we're going to get through is by the spirit of the human potential. Even they agree, right? That shift has happened. Things have been quickening. We've been feeling this quickening for a while now, and it's been getting faster and faster and faster. And over these last 3 weeks or so, it has went from going quick, coming around the corner to we're here now. Now we're here. Enough of the box has been opened. Enough people have left apathy behind to walk forward in compassion, information, and uniting as a country. Boy. And yeah, Anita? Uniting as a country. Even saying that brings a little bit of sentimental tears to my eyes ever since the 9/11 experience. And that was the first time I felt the whole country unite and over information. And we started to realize that we could communicate with each other. There was an easy way to see a mass consciousness, and then our actions following were so heartbreaking.
I need to just give it a minute.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Enough of the.
It's so close to being able to go.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay, that's fine. We'll talk while it's going on. Yeah.
So what I'm hoping that happens next
Uh huh.
is
Because if we don't go to McDonald's anymore, McDonald's won't be there anymore.
Right.
And now that everyone's paying attention to each other and communicating, that maybe that will be the next step. That we
Right.
will start to like give our money to the farmers markets instead of Safeway, and that sort of shift.
Right. That shift of where we give our money, our best way to vote is with our pocketbook, right? Who we support. You all, by supporting Soul Food, know that by supporting local, it keeps these experiences going. It works in the other way too. If you don't want to support a certain corporation that are doing things that you don't agree with, you pull your money away from them. We did that when we worked with Captain Brian Steidel with Darfur. We raised a friend of ours was stationed in Darfur, took all the pictures of the genocide, smuggled them into America, and that's how the New York Times got a hold of them. We promoted his documentary, The Devil Came on Horseback. We went to not Sundance, they did, but we went to South by Southwest, and also went to speak to the government of Texas and got them to divest their money from PetroChina, who we saw was the clear financial supporter of the genocide, and the Janjaweed. And we got Texas to divest all of their oil money from PetroChina. We got Washington State to do it, and over half of the country to take the money away. It's a big way to vote. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. A Shopper's Guide to a Better World is the book? Yeah. So if you don't know who's causing the damage, you can go to this book and find out. Yeah. 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 Is the least environmentally damaging gasoline. What's that so funny? Yeah, right? Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. The information is out there for us to know. It's a pocket-sized book, too. Okay. Wow.
And I think that's a great idea, the idea of voting with your dollar.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also speaking up and actually talking to these corporations, because these corporations are people too.
Right.
The Supreme Court.
Right.
But I mean, there are people that
Yeah.
exist in them, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think every one of them has evil intent. I'm not a big
Right.
person, but I'm just
Right.
I don't think they're all evil intent, and I think if we get beyond the labeling of us and them and get to the point where it's corporations that do nasty crap that we don't really care for, but yet I want to, for whatever reason, do business with you, but I can't
Yeah.
until you change your way. How do they know that from us if we're not communicating?
And that's part of that cycle that gets lost is the consumer and the provider.
And even if you feel like nobody's going to open a letter that I took the time to write, you put your thoughts down, you sent it out, like, this is what I think, and I'm just sharing my own
Mm-hmm.
with you. And if they open it up, great.
Yeah.
And if they don't, at least the energy of change started when you put your pen to paper first.
But that's really important. The energy of change starts when you put your pen to paper, even if the organization you're sending that to doesn't read it. Boy, that's a truth that we know through reading different books here, that if you, just through your intention, and then you speak your intention, and then you manifest it in physical form by writing it, by speaking it to another person, and that's that step out of apathy, right?
And follow it up by not spending your money if you so choose.
Yeah.
But you might get a real surprise and have somebody write you back and go,
Yep.
thanks, maybe we'll look at this. Or
Yeah.
That's why Walmart carries organics now. They support organic farmers because they got enough
Flack.
flack for not carrying organics that they now carry organics. And in watching I think it was Food Inc. or something like that, there was a great moment where, it actually was my favorite moment. There's this organic farm with this guy who's been doing this for ages, and he's definitely from a farm and got the big galoshes going on. And these 3 Walmart executives in their very nice white suits and their little ties, they go out there, and the one of the executives was very blunt, and he said, "We are a corporation. Our job is to make money, and so when the consumer demands that we change something specifically, then we have to. Otherwise, we will no longer be in business."
And that's right. That cycle right there is part of the key turning point of they're only providing what they think we want. That makes them the most amount of money, and that's an idea that they can hide behind. They can't hide behind it if we speak up and say, "Well, we would sure like to buy from you, and we would like this. We are the consumer, the all-powerful consumer. If we still have resources to consume, let's make it look like this."
And this is all loaded.
It's loaded? Okay.
Yeah.
Can I just
Yes,
say
totally.
something? Just going back to government and politics, and we've been talking about a little bit how difficult that is communicating, and corporations too. I think most people are probably aware of Citizens United and that decision. The
Citizens
Supreme Court,
United.
Decision about that.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, basically what that did was to open up the door for massive amounts of money to be spent on politics anywhere, by anyone, even another country in our politics. So,
Okay.
And that was a Supreme Court decision. So one of the things that happens, I used to be in the advertising industry for a while, so I know how easy it is to influence people by commercials, by ads, by false information. So maybe some people would be opened up now, but maybe there's a lot of people who don't have time, or they don't know, or they don't know. So they're getting, by the advertising dollars, they're getting all this misinformation because there's so much money going on the side of maybe the nasty corporation that
Yeah.
you were talking about, that you don't want to go there, but you can't stop it now. There's
Yeah.
no way to stop. There used to be a way to stop it. Now there's not. So there is a motion going on right now. And if you go to the website, it's called Move to Amend.
Okay.
And
Move to amend.
Move to amend. And the whole point of this is to amend the Constitution, which is a big deal. But so that this can no longer happen, so that corporations can no longer be classified as people, as a person.
Yeah.
That's great.
And so that there's a guaranteed right to vote and participate. And no more voter disenfranchisement, which is happening at great lengths right
Yeah.
now. So there's a lot of things that are part of this. And if you go to the website, I don't want to take up a lot of time now,
No,
but you will get a much clearer picture. And there's also a place
And the
to
website
find
again is
Move to Amend.
Move to Amend.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's called Citizens United.
Yeah.
Right.
That's,
That's what it's referred to as.
Yes. Right.
yeah. Well, that's one of the ways that corporate.
Yes.
Perfect. They
That's
make
the
it
advertising
sound like
part.
you're so patriotic and wonderful, but
Jamie, do you want to give us a heads up of what this stuff, and just kind of shout it out to everybody?
This is a mini documentary that's from the Occupy Wall Street website. It basically is 6 minutes long, and it's discussing what it is that the protesters are doing right there on the ground, and what their beliefs are, why it's there. And it's actually really beautiful.
cool.
perfect. All right. I,
everyone just has something like at their core that they're really upset about. And here, at least, it seems that it's all molding together to be like a structural change.
That's what people have been working on. That's why the General Assemblies are here. That's why the working groups are forming, so that people can go into a specific corner like sanitation or environmental or whatever and start forming their own demands.
Right now, we're just practicing first aid on people. You know, some people are hurting their feet or, you know, hurting their ankles. We give out like ice packs and stuff, but that's really all we're allowed to do. And if we feel someone needs to go to the hospital, we'll call for them and send them there. These medical supplies came from all over the country. People donated them. We got a big shipment in on Tuesday. You know, they really sent a lot of stuff, which was like heartwarming.
This is a comfort station. Essentially, we provide warm, dry clothing, tents, blankets. We have men's socks, women's socks, men's shirts, men's pants, women's pants, umbrellas, tarp, everything to keep everyone comfortable while they're camping out here. It makes no sense that 1% of the population owns 60% of the wealth. It makes no sense that people are trying to live the American dream and they go to college and kids are knee-deep in debt and they can't find jobs. So that's why I'm here.
Basically feeding everyone. Basically, we're getting a lot of donations, and with those donations, we're using that to buy supplies and food for everyone. These are dishwashing area, and then we have feeding tables, so it's like a buffet, basically, and then all our storage is in the center, and then that's our donation area over there.
The importance of having a strong media presence is unquestionable. I mean, we need very powerful, positive media representation. And if we're not getting it from the mainstream media outlets, then we got to do what we just did and create it ourselves. We're not allowed to erect any structures here in the plaza, so we're not allowed to put up any tents. We're not allowed to hang anything from the trees. So when it rains, we pretty much have to just cover everything with tarps. We have one generator, and I think another one just came recently. We're running laptops, we're charging batteries, charging cell phones. We have a bunch of shooters, people out filming, who have signed up for different shifts or who have basically just showed up and said, look, I have a camera, I'm ready to film. We send them out to go film a workshop or a march or a protest, whatever, and then they come back and we have an ingest department where they ingest the footage, transcode it, whatever needs to be done, and then give it to an editor who either edits here or on an off-campus location to bring it back to upload.
We'll focus on that, all right? Let me know if it's under too much pressure or not, okay? All right. It's a stressful environment, right? You're always gonna have people kind of itching for some kind of confrontation, and this is anti-confrontational. This really can do a lot for people, you know, bring down stress levels, and you think differently, you know, you speak differently. So if they're in a confrontation with someone else here, because they've been sleeping out here for 2 weeks, or a police officer or a heckler, they might handle it in a calmer, you know, more rational way.
your thoughts on that? Any feedback? How many people did not know that was going on? Good.
Doesn't that kind of tell you that what you see on the news about how it's a leaderless whatever movement,
Yeah.
blah, 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 that what you see on the news if you watch that,
Yeah.
it's not really telling you the truth
Right.
of what's going on
Right.
organically.
First they tried the media blockout, where none of the major medias were covering it at all. For like 2 weeks, for a long time. I first heard it on NPR this week, just a couple of days ago, and I've heard it twice now on NPR. There was the blockage of any kind of outlet of that through mainstream media. There was, until they had to say something about it because enough people knew it was obvious. And it was through this new consciousness of how we communicate online. Our consciousness is shifting. The protesters in the Occupy places seem to be walking forward compassionately in this strong movement of the greater issue isn't going to go away, so neither are we. And instead of, when they get maced, pepper sprayed, instead of fighting back, they are using their cell phone cameras. What a weapon to use your camera and then get it out online, and before they could take it out or censor it, there's enough of it out there that enough people are starting to know, and since it happens every day, we've seen some of these YouTube things or these films get taken off, and some of how what seemed to happen was through the when the first two girls got pepper sprayed, the police officer who did that, enough people took pictures of that, videos of that, took the name and the badge number and spread that online so that we wouldn't have to wait, the people wouldn't have to wait for justice to come through the old ways of doing it. It's kind of scary. And one of the leaders of that was this hacking group, Anonymous. How many people have seen an anonymous video online? So will you find?
Yeah,
or,
definitely. And
what's that?
oh, I was just going to say Jamie had something to say.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
or I can-
Yeah.
Kevin.
Kevin.
I wanted to, something I read just before I came here tonight, and
Mhm.
you know, the attention on you know, the meat sage and the kettle egg and all that. This has been going on in England too, and they've been protesting against this, the new form of kettle egg, getting everybody into one place, and then you know, police retaliation.
Oh, yeah.
Or you can't even call it retaliation, right? It's just
Mhm.
whatever. Well, I was encouraged today to read right before I came here, actually, and shared it on Facebook that the chief of police in Philadelphia has actually made it mandatory that his officers, before they go out on patrol for the Occupy Philadelphia that's going on,
Mhm.
that all of the officers have to read the First Amendment. Familiar with the First Amendment?
That's great.
And is supporting the Occupy walls, Occupy Philadelphia, and saying they've got a right to be there, and they have a right to have their voices heard. So it's encouraging to see law enforcement.
So even the law enforcement
Publicly stand up and
in Philadelphia is backing the Occupy Wall Street movement in the fact of the First Amendment right of free speech.
So it's even taking hold at levels where you might not expect it to take hold. I know the mayor of Seattle is starting to provide a place
That's
for
wonderful.
Seattle, some of the other mayors of the big cities are instead of cracking down on it, providing space for it to go on. So it's a movement that's really taking shape. And
It's been wonderful to see that there isn't a movement bashing cops. And when we see things online, the people that are talking to the police officers are saying things like, "We're here to represent you," and what a compassionate stance. Yeah, Jamie.
I think it's unfortunate about what happened. I'll actually look into it, though. I mean, I think that police brutality
Yeah. And there is severe police brutality going on.
So far what I've heard, there was one of the girls that were barricaded were based by Tony Baloney, that's his name.
Tony Baloney, right,
Anthony Baloney.
was the name of the police officer.
Yeah, in fact, I think it was the Daily Show did a clip on it, like the
Yeah.
next day. And then there was the parade, which I was watching off of the live stream last Saturday.
Across the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yes. Now I'm not sure which version of these. There was the pedestrian bridge, and then there was the bridge roadway. And apparently, the police almost welcomed the protesters onto the bridge, and then they trapped them and spent hours just arresting over 700 people. And then October 5th, I'm not sure what flared it up, but on October 5th there was police beating people with their batons and people getting arrested. It's like I don't want to live in a police state. I don't want anyone to think that that's okay to just beat me up for having a camera out.
I would like to say, and I could probably only say it here and feel safe, but just that there's another part that isn't part of this movement, and that's the anarchists. And they are just in it for the show. They're destroying property, not just property, they're destroying and taking, looting. They go wherever they can get their jollies out of, doing this kind of thing. And they like to mix in with other groups. And it really spoils the whole, again, the media can be very selective in what they cover. So if they're covering the anarchists who have made themselves a part of this, then they're going to be showing a large part of the public something that is very different from what this movement is about. So again, the importance of, really getting clear on what is actually happening. And I would say that a lot of the police, a lot of times, I know quite a few policemen, and there are times when they have been abused for so long by this type of thing that that's what they do. That's the mentality they go
Absolutely.
into. So not that I approve of the action, but I'm just saying that that's, that can happen too.
Let's just kind of restate that there is the anarchists, for
Right.
sure.
Right.
And there's that energy in us
Yes.
that want to rage for the sake of rage. And there's the part in us that doesn't want to forgive either.
Yes.
And in taking, and it's clear from what we see on the Occupy is that that's not a group of anarchists.
Right.
And though anarchists can get involved, and though part of what we're about to show you is a bit of what I think online, I don't want to attach that word to it, but it's part of that revenge energy,
Right.
or that not forgive part. And that's in our consciousness. Let's show it.
But I think the group as a whole, I think the movement is wonderful.
Yeah.
I just,
That thought of anarchists stepping in, or that
I
just
hope that
for the
doesn't get subverted, So we have to be all the more conscious in spreading the truth about what actually is happening.
That's a really good point.
A lot of news are covering those people.
Right.
There are
Because it's sensational.
I listen to left and right, and I go to as many sources as I can. I'm not really in the wrong party, but what I'm hearing a lot from the radio.
Speak up just a little bit, Jamie.
But okay, what I'm hearing mainly from the news is that a lot of these protesters are out there and they want the corporations to go down, and that's not what the message is at all. And then the debate gets about, well, these people are hypocrites. Look at their MacBooks,
that's a that and I actually think that that part of our consciousness, that is that reactionary, is a small part. And I think that there's enough compassion within our country and within the globe of us, of the 100%, that we'll be able to step through, not believe what we're seeing in the media of just showing those parts. And as those parts happen, to be able to walk through that knowing that there's more of us walking compassionately than people who are in the anarchist position. And some of the people who are in more that anarchist position are even streamlining what they're doing.
And, you know, one of the things that I would just say to that, too, is that, you know, I have this theory that in every movement, you need somebody who's going to go far out and break the box of societal convention, whereas it makes us uncomfortable. But I believe that is in some sense what the purpose of somebody who follows an anarchist path is about, breaking the conventional box, because I think in a bigger whole, that allows the greater society to understand where their social norms are and because everything in a funny way is kind of, well, thank you, is a trade-off, right? You have to trade something to get something else. There's nothing that just comes in one thing. There's always got to be a reciprocity. And maybe, I mean, and this is an extreme one, but some people have chosen that, you know, getting a pat down at the TSA is a valid, giving up that kind of freedom is a valid reciprocity for what they feel safety is. So there's a part of me that, it sounds kind of funny, but appreciates the fact that there are people who are willing to go that far to break societal convention. But I also believe that that is also the reciprocity from us is that we have to step up, and we have to be the ones who write into the editor and say, well, that's great, so I'm glad that you covered those 3 people who broke the window, but did you happen to notice the 1,700 other people who were actually asking? And no, they're not all hippie slackers. You know, they just happen to be the unions, or they happen to be the Marines who went down there. And I think that is that kind of like that call to us to be responsible enough to be able to write in and say, and call accountability to our media. And, you know, and I've seen it happen in a lot of smaller newspapers. And, you know, I think Fox Media and the ones that are very huge corporate, it's going to be harder. But I believe that that's what that call is. That's our call to step up. And but I understand the uncomfortability part of it, though, too. Anita Bobita.
I wanted to give everyone a news alternative. So
A news alternative.
I don't know if you've heard of this, but Democracy Now!
Yeah.
Is a great news to watch, and especially if you watch it every day. And they broadcast it on the website democracynow.org, and 91.3 they play it at 8 a.m. and they play it again at 5. But you know my faith, so if you go to Chris Facebook and Facebook me and befriend me, I have a beautiful list of things you can watch.
Wonderful.
And how to get onto that.
Through Democracy Now!
Well, and other things
and other
too,
things
but-
too, okay. Yeah. Okay, this is, again, one example of what's going on.
I think this is it. I've only seen it once, so. Is this right?
Sure, what's a little bit of that?
Okay.
Dear American taxpayers, you may be surprised to learn that in America, one group enjoys a tax exemption and special privileges from the IRS, privileges that go beyond those afforded to any other taxpayer.
It's kind of funny.
Sorry about that.
When searching through the internet to find these things, there's the people who fake to be them. It's just kind of hard to be a detective through it. Anonymous, occupied. That one.
Which one?
Occupy the Planet.
This one right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello. We are anonymous. If you have not heard about our brothers and sisters on Wall Street, we are currently experiencing our own Tahrir Square moment. However, this is not enough. We have other cities that we, the people, must occupy peacefully to let the world know the people are winning. Next March marks a momentous shift in our history. Everyone, everywhere will be occupying their towns, their capitals, and other public spaces. Already we have made tremendous progress. In just a little over a week, Occupy initiatives have sprung up in over 30 U.S. cities. This is now bigger than you, or me. It is about us, a collective 99% that will no longer stand for the corruption, greed, and inequality that is rampant within our governing bodies. Spread this message like the plague. On this memorable occasion, we will carry forth our own passive resistance against the machine which keeps us down. On this day, we will occupy LA, with it bringing the wave of resistance to the West Coast. This is part of a global movement. The tyrants of London have banned public assembly and marching. The media refuses to acknowledge our presence. This kind of action only further moves our hand. The more authoritarian they act, the more we will resist. What are our demands, you ask? They are simple, they are the same as yours. We do not forgive, we do not forget, we are silent no more. Chicago, Cleveland, Columbus, Indiana, Indianapolis, Madison, Kansas City, Michigan, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Omaha, St. Louis, Stillwater, Tulsa, Youngstown, Binghamton, Boston, D.C.
Sorry.
Hey.
New Jersey, Philadelphia, Vermont, Atlanta, Lexington, Mississippi, Nashville, New Orleans, Orlando, Tampa, Dallas, Houston, Phoenix, Denver, Las Vegas, Olympia, Portland, Sacramento, San Diego, San Francisco, San Jose, Seattle, and Los Angeles. We are everywhere. We are legion. We are anonymous. Expect us.
Sure. Speak it out loud.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but last Saturday during the protest on the bridge where many people were getting arrested, Anonymous actually hacked and brought down the Bank of America website as their way of retaliation.
They brought down the Bank of America website. A little bit ago, they brought down the Visa, MasterCard website. They also hacked NATO and stole information from them, NATO. So as a actual computer hacking threat, they seem to be capable of doing what they say. The frightening, in talking about that path of, there's a lot of propaganda in that. There's a lot of imagery in that bring up strong emotions. The part of me that wants to fight is charged. The part of me that believes that forgiveness is the way forward is, that part of me is threatened by it. Some of your thoughts on it, good and bad. Sure.
So if you have hatred and that sort of thing, and you feed it more, then it grows bigger. So
Yeah.
You can be angry, and it can be righteous.
Mm-hmm.
But hacking into things, then they'll start doing other things that maybe we don't want them to do.
I believe in that too. Something that just strikes me is the fact that, message aside, or even who did it aside, the fact that we're capable of such an instant communication to find out that is there is what's so powerful. Other thoughts on it? Greg, you got some thoughts on it?
Oh, on the anonymous video?
Sure, on the video or anonymous in general?
It's kind of an umbrella. Anonymous umbrella, everyone can go in and out as they please, not really care, most of which we found out are like under 20. And it's a fire, I guess, and people are just expressing the best way they know how, taking down that site or other places. I have no solid thoughts on it right now.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, I think one thing about the internet in general, it's a tool like anything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to be aware because we've moved so much of what we do online rather than face-to-face communication, the way we interact, the way we bank, the way we shop, the way we do everything. That it's important to understand that even in that space, you're vulnerable.
Even in that space, you're
I think it's
vulnerable.
also what Anonymous is doing. While I don't agree with all of their methods, it is also a warning shot to the powers that be, if you will, that the ability that they have to track us and working in database. Trust me, they are tracking everything you're doing on here.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a two-way street. And the fact that the tool exists for them to do that to us, it also exists for us to do that to them. And it's inherent in the way, with the videos that we're watching, the way we're turning the camera around on what's actually happening and showing the world what's happening rather than relying on, the boss in the living room to tell us what's happening in the world. I think it's important for everyone to be aware of what that tool is and what the capabilities of that tool are for anybody.
Yeah.
We're in the infancy of this technology, right? We're in the infancy of what this means, and we're in the infancy of the direction this is taking it. So it's important to be aware of what those capabilities are and what the possibilities for the future are with that.
Mm-hmm. Did you get that ready?
Sure.
Would you get it ready? Any other thoughts on Anonymous? I kind of think what we're talking about, the bigger point is the fact that bringing us into an awareness, seeing this group do this, just starts to open up what that frontier of the internet. And we know it's so close because we build it here. And I think we actually probably know more than a lot of the normal cities across America about where things could go in that. It's like, right. Right? They're playing on that Dark Knight idea. And they're playing on that part of our psyche, those of us who saw V for Vendetta, those of us who have seen the Guy Fawkes immortalized. And whether they are a Dark Knight or just some irresponsible punk kids, whatever that is, they are definitely playing upon that part of our psyche.
And I actually think it goes even more than that. I think what Anonymous has shown us is that maybe it's because I was raised by hippies. I mean, this could be possibly and social workers and things like that. I think what this is actually, in my mind, what this whole thing is showing us is that we place a lot of power in the internet. And we place a lot of, it goes back to what do we watch? How do we take it in? Who do we choose to believe? How do we choose to get our information? Do we believe the statistics that come out, or do we actually figure out where the statistics come from, and then do we use actual reason to figure out if those, if they've used the data right? But we put all of this faith in the internet. And Kevin's right, it's a really powerful tool, but at the same time, it's just a tool that doesn't take place for human interaction. And I think that's a lot of what fear does, is it bases off of the way that we interact at this point in time. I was talking to somebody today who's in a community that their community primarily connects through Facebook, right? Okay, so what happens if the electricity goes out? And we've decided to give all of our social interactions away to Facebook. I mean, I can honestly say I have 375 friends on Facebook. You know, I mean, the funny thing is my thought is what happens if that goes down? I mean, and in this context, that's, I think, an important question to ask. That, to me, is what Anonymous has brought up. How are we, and what the people who are occupying Wall Street have brought up too, they're doing something that we don't do very often in our culture. They're talking to each other. They don't have megaphones. They can't. So they go through, somebody says something, and the next web says the same thing to the people behind them. I mean, it's a lost art of human communication. And that's part of what my motivation, my personal motivation tonight was for this evening is the personal communication. I mean, the information is great, but if Kayla doesn't know what Pam is doing, who doesn't know what Anita's doing, who doesn't know what Robert's doing, you know, who doesn't know what, if we don't know what each other are doing, then how can we support each other as a community to make effective change? And so one of the things that I wanted to bring to that space is I want to know, what are you guys doing in your daily life, and how can we as a community support you? How can we connect in with you? Maybe you have the information that I've been looking for. And so that's also, to me, another part of what this movement is so important about is I need to know what Jamie's doing. I mean, well, not right now. Hi, Jamie. So you're drawing. It's like, it's like that's what a community does. And I think that's one of the most brilliant parts about the Occupy movement is they use the social media tool that Anonymous has done a brilliant job in using as a commercialized propaganda machine.
Propaganda machine, right.
But what I'm most impressed with is the people that are on the ground who are using it to get information out, to empower other people to gather together and to make a change, because I think it really is about what you're physically doing is really going to make the change, where you spend your money, how you gather together.
I think when I first saw it, it was I was upset that it had come to that in one sense, and I was upset that I don't need a dark night. I know some people do. I know some people need to dive into that, and I respect that. But the part of me and the people I see in front of me, we could save the dark night for the super comics, and we could actually be the heroes of our own story. And being a hero really looks just like this. It isn't anything shiny. It isn't through a dark night. It isn't through anything. It isn't through another power that's going to save the day. It's through us, individually walking forward in compassion and love. And that's part of how I felt about it. And so I also was pissed at the 99%. I hate percentages. I hate statistics. I think every statistic and percentage can be used to support the point you want to make. I rely on more my gut instinct, which could be wrong, but I'd rather fail on that side. And it doesn't take a statistic to tell me that there's an out of balance. And so tonight, in the 100%, is the acknowledgement that it is all of us, and I see no separation between me and the corporation, I and Obama, or me and you, and the fact that you have a different opinion than me means that opinion is represented in the whole, so that I can represent this opinion, us as a whole. There's a video that I'd like to play. I don't know if Sarah would like to play it, but this is a video I'd like to play that represents.
Where's that?
Oh,
I can find it.
sure. You can go through Facebook.
Okay.
that represents another part of the whole. In this video, though, he's gonna swear and use the F word. If I don't notice any kids out there other than ours, and she doesn't know that word yet. If there is anybody with sensitive ears in that way, a fair warning. And I know Robert's virgin ears. And again, another example of a person using the internet to speak out. Just like Anonymous is using the internet to speak out, just like we are using the internet to speak out tonight through streaming. So is this fella. And it was just passed through me through Facebook, and it seemed to make a whole lot of funny common sense to one part of me.
What was his name?
Sean, my friend, Sean Stanley.
Got it. New page. Sean Stanley's Facebook.
Right, it's weird to know that what other people eat for breakfast, but we all know now through Facebook what other people eat for breakfast. It's that guy there. Called A Rant Worth Listening To.
Listen to the government, the United States government. Yo, $14.6 trillion, B. All my credit cards would have been cut off a long time before that. All I'm asking y'all to do is balance a fucking budget, B. That's all y'all gotta do. Son, we voted for y'all because we were worried about gay rights, marijuana getting legalized, all of these other things that we were concerned about. How can we get roads, more money for schools? You bastards can't even balance a checkbook? A checkbook, B? This is something every American has to go through every week. We gotta figure out what we're gonna pay, what we gotta put off a little bit. You bastards got the $14.6 trillion before you realize, oh shit, we've reached the debt ceiling. Listen, you're the best and the brightest. Harvard, Yale, Brown, Cornell, this is what we put out. Should have went to Norfolk State. Bastards, you would have got the same education. You would have spent a whole lot less money. Simple fucks. All I'm saying to you is, and this isn't personal, this isn't Democratic or Republican, this is everybody. Stop being a dickhead and balance the fucking budget. My second question though, my second issue is, how the fuck do you owe China, B? How do you owe China? How can I tell my daughter with a straight face that capitalism is a better system than communism if we're borrowing all of our fucking money from the biggest communist country on the fucking planet? You ass, stop your life, B. Get your whole shit together. Get all of your shit together. Don't do another press conference. Fuck CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Don't do any more television appearances until you got my fucking budget balanced. And I'm gonna tell you this. Everybody who has a loan to the federal government, fuck paying it. Don't pay your budget. Don't pay your bills, because they ain't paying theirs. The fuck I gotta pay my bills for if you don't pay your bills? I'm not doing what you don't do. You're the leader. I'm following. You don't pay, I don't pay. How about that, simple motherfuckers? What is your credit score? What's the government's credit score right now? It's gotta be a 350. But you motherfuckers gonna tell me I can't buy a car if my credit score is at a certain number? Your whole life is a 350, B. Your FICO score, your Experian, fucking TransUnion, all your shit's low, B. Get your shit together. President Obama, personal to you. All the black people was proud. We got a black president. You acting like one right now, B. Pay your fucking bills on time. Stop. It's too fucking hot for me. I'm sweating and shit. Shit got me sweating. You know why? Because y'all ain't paid a fucking light bill on Earth. That's why it's 37 fucking states right now going through a heat wave. Because not only did y'all not pay the fucking Chinese, y'all didn't pay the fucking light bill. You see how fucking hot it is? I'm pissed the fuck. I can't.
So without a mask, being quite honest with their opinion, what a strangely inspirational thing to watch. I take out of that just a calling out. Just a calling out of certain different fundamental things that if we were to apply the sane, rational view to, it just wouldn't fit in the box. What's your thoughts?
One other piece to it, though, that hasn't been out there too far.
Yeah.
It's called the missing wanta funds. And if they would ever find those wanta funds, which has been, China knows about what happened to them, the Federal Reserve knows what happened to them, but the thing is, it's in the order of several trillion. And if they ever got those back, like they were supposed to with Reagan, then we wouldn't have this debt in the first place. The missing what? Probably wouldn't even have.
What is it again? The missing, what did you call it?
The wanta funds.
What the?
The wanta. We don't want
Wata?
W-A-N-T-A.
Okay.
If you have a chance, just Google Wanta.
Watna.
I was following it for several years, and they killed the guy basically that was reporting it. He was with International Currency Review, and he died about a year ago. And well, he was basically murdered. And but it was a big thing between our treasury and it almost came to light to the public about 2008 or so. But basically, the money is there. They just kind of dropped, their bookkeeping and put it over someplace else. But it is there. We're not really in debt. They just have to get those funds back.
Right, there's a bunch of, what are other thoughts?
I got a thought.
Yeah.
Because it's my thought about that video is it does a lot of the same things to me that anonymous video does to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one thing to say, hey government, balance your books, balance your budget. You know what the first thing we start cutting here is a civilization? A civilization.
Mm-hmm.
We cut education, we cut social services, we cut money that goes to the people in need, and that's where we start cutting first, or the people we elect into office start cutting first. In the meantime, we got 2 wars going on in the Middle East. I'm not sure anybody can tell me what the fuck those world wars are still going on for, what they might have even been about in the first place. Part of the reason the debt has exploded in the last couple of years is because 10 years, the 8 years prior, the wars weren't actually on the budget. They weren't being counted as part of the deficit. In the last 2 years, those are now being reported as part of the budget. So that instantly exploded in the public's mind what that deficit looks like. We aren't spending any more money. It's just that more of it is in our awareness.
Got it.
So I think where was I going with this? I think part of getting to that balancing the budget is coming to a decision of what we want our taxes paying for, what we want our money going for. Do we want it going for social services? Do we want it going to feed hungry, to feed the poor, to build roads, build infrastructure, or do we want to keep spending a couple of $1 trillion a year on a military that's out of control?
Taxes and budget, and I was having a good conversation with a friend here out front the other day about that, and where should our tax money go? And their response, the way that I heard it, was it should go to the places that are using the money the smartest, that are making the best decisions, whether across party lines. It shouldn't go to one person because of an ethical background or another, but it should go to the people who are proving that they're doing the right smart thing. And that seems what the nature of this revolution or this uprising is of people starting to demand that our tax money goes to the smart organizations, the people who are getting the systems that don't run well now to run better, which doesn't seem to be a partisan side. There's this part of me that I was raised in a conservative cowboy family, so I wasn't raised by hippies, and that part of me that's conservative is the part of me that believes in conservation. And I would think that somehow in the spectrum of how we talk politics, conservative and conservation don't seem to go together, is what I see. And that's an irony, and there's a bunch of ironies. I also probably couldn't stand one more bleeding heart liberal. I'm not that either. That makes really good, sad songs, but it doesn't get the job done. And it doesn't see the full picture. And I think that that blending of that lines is where we're kind of coming through. Part of how we want to walk forward in this is tonight by just holding the space that we have been holding to speak about what we're seeing around us, because we're not afraid to speak to each other. There's, through this mass communication, there's not just the Occupy Wall Street and Occupy the different cities and the world, the revolutions going on in different countries. How we started tonight was seeing this video on all these different organizations that are walking forward, doing the right thing in their community. We exist here in that same thing, as a pocket in Redmond of people who are consciously doing the right thing by seeing each other and acknowledging each other. We'd like to spend the next week and open up the art wall to us, everybody, to post notes, put up the names of organizations that are making a change. If you are part of an organization that's making a change, put that up. Any printed stories, any pictures, any way to kind of reflect back to the rest of the community who comes through the day here, the difference of opinion that is held under this house. It's through that difference of opinion that that whole picture is seen. And to continue this dialogue going on throughout the week.
And before we even do that, if you guys would be up for it, I'd really like to go around the room and actually, if you would say your name. I know it sounds kind of funny, and if you have any, like, say you know about the Amend movement or something that you have in particular that you would want to share with anybody who's interested in it, just to say that really quick, and you don't have to have anything.
Yeah, that way, since we are streaming live, if you don't want that to go out there, or we just do it as so let's start in this corner of the room and work this way. And those that want to say, stand up and say, and then we'll just kind of go through that way. We can all have our voice heard tonight. Yeah, and hi, Bill. Just trying to figure things out. Yeah.
I'm Ellen. I work at a private progressive school, a little school, where we promote social justice, intrinsic learning, creative play.
The little school.
Through the children, try to promote consciousness awareness, and I believe education. We have to do all this stuff, but we also have to get our education
Absolutely.
way deeper.
Yes.
So that's my thing.
Thank you for working in education with the little school.
Check us out, Creative Club Girls.
Absolutely. Thanks. Yeah. Hi, Mike. We don't have any, what's that? United Front. Uh-huh. Yeah, the technology. Yeah.
But there's nobody from our side being watchdog over what they're doing.
Yeah.
Just like you hire somebody here, and you just go home. Let them do whatever they want. Work on opposition, do this, do that. They're not focused. We don't have anybody on our side watching over them to make sure they're doing what they're elected. And we have to elect people from constituencies to go with the individual we elected to make sure they do their job. Otherwise, they'll report back to us
Yeah.
from the United Front as to what's going on. I mean,
Thank you. Yeah.
that is what is lacking. We are united. We are not. We are arguing too much amongst each other.
There's a bunch of arguing going on, you're right.
But they are very united. They are very clandestine. They are very quiet.
Right.
consumers.
We are average consumers.
Yeah, we are just a bunch of, as Matrix says, we're
Mhm.
viruses, parasites. We're just eating everything along the way, like there's no tomorrow.
And I think in that point, there's this part of the consciousness that is shifting, that is starting to see that there is a power in the common man and woman, the common person.
There's nobody here to harness that energy and focus in the right direction to where it's going to be effective. They're everywhere and nowhere, and energy it's not laser beam focused.
Mhm.
It's just like a floodlight. It's everywhere, but nothing's getting done. And that is what I see what's wrong with this side of the game.
Okay.
And we have to learn from the other side what they're doing. And forget about this technology. Forget about the cell phone. Forget about YouTube and Facebook.
Mhm.
You're letting the enemy know what you're doing.
Back to that transparency point.
And where they are not letting us know what's going on there. We have to learn from the masters,
Mhm.
not to do our own thing. And that is what is lacking. See.
Yeah.
And wherever I go, I see this kind of a confusion, arguments, and everybody's got an opinion, but they're not funneled in the right direction. Opinion should be funneled in to where it's going to result in tangible concept ways to be used, not just verbalizing. And action should be followed. We just talk and we go home. We vote and we go home. And we don't see what our votes have done. Where it's going.
Mhm.
We don't follow them. Every 4 years they give us a bunch of gobbledygook and we're voting. And that is what energy is being dissipated and going everywhere and nowhere.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Mike.
That is my
Here, here. Yeah. Anyone else over there?
My
Yeah.
name's Chris.
Hey, Chris.
And, you were talking earlier about how a lot of people feel fear about wanting to go on the streets because it might get maced or get put in a pen, taken to jail.
Yeah.
How do we overcome that as an individual? Is by maybe looking at our own personal lives of things that we fear in our own personal lives, which leads to apathy and freeing ourselves from fears that we might not tell our close friends. I'll share one in the past 5 months. I had a sense of fear of going out and playing music,
Mhm.
which led to a little bit of apathy in my music playing.
Yeah.
Once I was able to step across that fear line, it was very free, and therefore I could feel growth. And me doing that and stepping past that fear line will help me in bigger things in life, like maybe being a leader in a movement or something. So
Great point made. That by stepping away from the fear in your own self, you don't have to join a political movement to make change. That change starts from within, and making that choice to shine your light, stepping away from any kind of doubt, is a move in that consciousness. And when you do that, a group of people do that too across the globe in this silent way. And that's really, thanks for sharing that. Yeah.
My name's Mary. Totally
Yeah.
That's right where I was going initially was that. I think what I do on an everyday basis and as many times during the day as I possibly can is to, when I run up against an idea, a concept, a label that just automatically makes me think left, right, up, down, whatever, try to bounce that off of my inner
supremely, the change starts from within.
It totally does, and it seems so cliche, but it's so true over the years of being able to actually experience that in ebbs and flows. And it's not to say I'm like floating on a cloud, because I'm not. But it definitely starts there, and there is power in that. And
Yeah.
Sarah, you said that you were part of the WTO.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say bias, action.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I was never, my personality was never one that I could really go out and do such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But after 9/11 happened and I had some personal sort of interactions with that, I actually went on the street in Seattle with this group of people, and this was incredibly powerful for me to do because it was so out of my norm, was to go out and actually hand flyers out to people on a street in downtown Seattle saying, check this out, ask some questions. You know, I'm not telling you right, left, up, I'm not telling you anything except for ask some questions. And I was so wonderfully encouraged by the amount of people walking by me that went, you know, thanks. Thanks for taking the time. I mean, of course, there's the ones that go, you're nuts,
Yeah.
or whatever. But just getting out and realizing that there are more people who are willing to listen, you know, it's
That's-
very empowering.
It's a big change. Yeah.
It's not my, you know, I don't do the picket thing all the time, but for me, it was actually stepping out, getting past the fear of doing that and having people say you're cuckoo puss or something.
Yeah.
And connecting with people in that way. And who knows, maybe there was one or two people that took the flyer and went, you know, wow, let me think about this. I'm gonna talk to my family and friends. And then it kind of goes like that.
Boy, that I have never been to a protest like the WTO riots. The way that I lead my silent protest is by smiling at strangers, and I got my work cut out for me every time I go to Costco, and it's and that seeps into the consciousness. It is in that. Thank you, Mary. Other people. Hey, Kayla. Hey.
I'm Pam, and I'm the one that was just talking about move to amend. And I would just like to say, and I had something come up in me when you were talking, Kevin, just that I think people, you know, a lot of times will vote for what I think they know in their heads what they want, you know, but what I think a lot of the anger is about is that no matter what they vote for, it's not happening. They're not being represented accurately. So as crazy and inconsistent and warped as our political system and broken as it is, I still feel that there is value in voting, for one thing, because, you know, if you don't have anybody in office, you can't even move that far, you know, as to put pressure on them, to really make oneself aware of the process and the issues, and I'm pretty aware of some of those things. So if people are interested in finding out more about that process, I'd be happy to talk to you.
Yeah, that the political system and where the respect has gone. When Bush was our president, though there were things that I disagreed with, choices he made, at times I backed him. He was my president, and I felt like I was upset when people would tear into him, because that's the system of democracy, is we respect our president, and there was a fair fight, and the one who won, and I thought that things had gotten to a low, below the belt hitting, and then when Obama took power, it's now to a joke. In that respect, is what it seemed like politically.
Yeah.
I believe in voting. I believe in.
It's not fair the way it is
appear to
now.
be, no.
It is not fair. But I think we can do something about that too, and that's one of the things that this move to amend seeks to address.
Yeah. Thank you, Pamela.
My name is Anita Emsley, and for my job, I'm a Montessori teacher, and so I spend my time 3 and 4 this whole thing is very exciting.
Yeah.
Kevin and I are doing something that's called the Thriving Center, and this was really exciting for me too when I saw what you guys wrote on the thing there, because I want to create a place where people bring what they know and what they have, and like a center where we can share. And this ties in, but last year was a very, very money-wise, a very poor time for me, super poor. Probably record-breaking place.
Yeah.
And the only way I found to ever get that to change energetically so money could start coming in so that my needs could be met is that I was pushing for the Thriving Center. And so I put out the call that if you have anything that you would like to donate, and then I'll find who needs it. And so it started happening. So people donated clothes, dress-up clothes, women clothes. And the YWCA wanted them, so I sent them out. People donated clothes for little babies, and I found a mother who needed them, and it went out. And the energy started to shift. And so I'm a big advocate for love, and I'm a healer. I'm pretty psychic. But when I use that power, I use the power of love. That's how I do it. And since I'm in a safe environment, and I can say this, I know that lots of people are waiting for Jesus to come back, but I really believe that that energy is here, and that he is here, and that what his coming back, I think that it was more symbolic, is that movement of caring and taking care of each other. So the Thriving Center is going to be a place where people come when they're in need, and a place where they come to get well, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally.
Thanks, Anita.
Thank you for creating this environment for me to do that.
Yeah, you got it. All right, the crazy crowd at the bar. Who's over there?
I'm Robert. I think we should give the 1% a break. That was kind of my take on the whole thing.
Yeah.
I try to look more at the numbers. You work with your gut, and I look at the numbers and try to be more objective. And I think that we need to be a little more objective about the whole thing and look at what's really happening. And I try to look for the simple answer in a lot of things. And I hear about people not feeling like their government is representing them. And I think, okay, we had this amazing opportunity with President Obama to have a whole group of people represented in a way that's never been represented strongly before. And he was probably the strongest advocate we could have for that, right? And then what happens? You get into government, and there's a reality that changes.
Yeah.
Rather than saying that this has been letting us down, we should be really thinking about our expectations and figure out if he hit the reality of the situation that we're in,
Yeah.
and still had to make these best decisions possible. I believe that he's trying to make the best decisions he can.
Agreed, yeah.
Right? And we're left with what we have now. That means the situation is pretty dire, and that maybe we need to go back to the drawing board and really think about what we're expecting out of our elected officials and what we're expecting them to do for us.
And so would you say more, is what I'm hearing more, approach the system, fix the system, not who is that 1% in control of the system or in power of the system?
I don't know about like a complete overhaul of the system. I think that the system actually works fairly well.
Yeah.
I think we need to reevaluate what is possible and what those expectations are. I think people went in with incredibly high expectations, and there were promises made throughout that campaign that were above and beyond what was reasonable to do in a decade or two.
Yes.
But people stood behind their cause, and it's like everything was on board. But when it comes down to it, priorities and the reality of the money that we have to work with, guess what? You can't actually do all those things. Prioritization is a reality of the system that we live in. And we need to figure out what's important to us, figure out what it is we can afford to give away versus what we can afford to spend our money on, because we can't do it all.
Yeah.
Right? We can't afford to do it all. And all the borrowing from the Chinese,
frankly, I think that's fine. It makes them more concerned about our well-being if they've lent us all this money. But,
Good point.
You know, but it has let us do all of these things that we can't afford to do. And now we need to think about what we're willing to give up to get back to a sustainable, long-term solution.
And you know,
And that's hard.
God, I'm so glad your opinion is here, Robert. I'm so thankful for that. What we can afford, what we can spend, what we can, and that I feel part of the consciousness shift is the masses, us, are starting to say that same thing is we have been buying things that we can't afford, energetically and physically, and we need to cut back and figure those things out. There's also this opinion that we don't have control over that because what we're being just fed this. And as we stand up to say we don't want that, we want less, or we want smarter, that we're pushing that system.
I'm stoked you're here.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny too. I was thinking about what you had brought up. I'm sorry, I don't know your name, Brianna. What Brianna had talked about was the system in which our monetary system in which we're working at, which to me just goes hand in hand with what Robert is talking about, and to me, kind of what the movement is in a bigger sense is like, okay, well, what are the resources that we have? You know, we have one level of resources, which is the monetary level. Then we have the community aspects, and then we have all of these other things. And it is, I think it's really a brilliant observation is what are our expectations to what are the resources that we have. And then it's that other option of how are we thinking in the box of how we view what our resources are, which to me has been a lot of what I've been hearing out of the Occupy movement is, okay, well, we've had a traditional set of, I was supposed to go to college, I was supposed to get the good job, I was supposed to be okay. Well, that's a lot of supposed tos and a lot of expectations. But then also what I find is really fascinating, I wish Kayla was here, but they were in Ithaca, New York, and Ithaca, New York has this whole different way of being as a town. They've got the Ithaca dollar, they do a lot of time banks. I mean, there's a lot of different options out there, and so I just really love the fact that you brought that up, because to me that goes very much with what you're saying, and what I hear a lot of people are saying is we need to break out of the box of what our expectations are, be able to take a look at the different resources that we have and how we utilize them, and to me that's a lot about talking to each other.
And agreeing in that, let's give that 1% a bit of a break, because we all are part of this system. It's all of ours. And to lead forward in a way of blaming another group isn't taking your own responsibility for your own actions, and that you're part of the whole. So which is why I wanted to invite that 1% here tonight. Thanks. Yeah, Ramona first.
I've been listening to what you've been saying, and I've been part of this kind of a conversation for about 4 decades. And I heard all these comments 40 years ago, and all these kinds of issues. I mean, it's like the players' names change, but the issues really don't. And my perception has been that where we lose the strength is that we don't build a really strong community between each other. And now we talk, we've got the internet, but we're also disassociating each other from
Because
each
we have the
other.
internet, right?
With the internet, I can't tell you how many times you see somebody riveted to a screen, and there's people on both sides that you can talk to. There are needs that need to get met in our own communities that don't get met, and we don't even ask about it. We don't even look, we don't even say, what do you need? I believe that Maslow's hierarchy of human need affects and dissolves our affectivity. Because we do not meet each other's needs, because we don't present ourselves as a real community, we just have a theoretical community. When we go out to change the 1%, we're ineffective because, like Nita said, you have a bad year. Okay, so does that mean that you don't follow through with your convictions? eviction because you can't make your mortgage or your rent. That's what happens. And my perception, I've seen it over and over again, is that if we build a community with a really strong base, one-to-one, identify each other's needs, help each other, then the voice we have is stronger going forward. We can go forward, and just because we're not concerned about our basic needs, we have a capacity to move forward and be effective influencing as a voice those political people who otherwise all they have to do, they know it, all they have to do is wait, and some economic shift will occur, and you don't have to worry about Buffalo, you don't have to worry about Tennessee or something, because something changed and they can't, they're no longer strong. So my perception is that if we build each other up and are consistent about it, and we can create those vehicles, then we can move on to affect real positive change.
Yeah. Thanks, Ramona. Thanks, Jess.
Ask a question?
Yeah.
I agree with what you said, that it's the same story just repeated every 25 years or so, just change the names or the faces. But with that insight that you have, do you feel or sense that now, as compared to 40 years ago, is there an energetic or vibrational shift?
There is a greater basis for potential of being successful.
Feels it.
It's still up to a whole bunch of individuals for consistency. We lack consistency. But we have the communicative capabilities, we have awareness that we're actually talking. It doesn't take 4 hours to connect to India anymore.
Yeah.
Call India now.
Yeah.
Yeah, now is the time. We're on, I believe we're on the threshold, and we can do what we could not physically do before because of these capabilities. Yeah.
Thanks. All right, this is a place that will even hear an opinion from a pirate. Craig, what is your thought?
I have different opinions. I feel this Wall Street movement, great, awesome, and a unified, base, simplified term would be keep profit out of government. I feel you need incentive to join and help people, make the world a better place. Yes, it helps to have a decent pay rate, but kickbacks, throwbacks, clout, I don't know. I couldn't comprehend how to do it correctly. But I think a good start would be campaign finance reform.
Move to amend.
Whatever, yeah. It seems like only those wanting, it's like it's a business, getting into politics. If you want to make a lot of money, get into politics. It doesn't seem right. Another thing I don't like is I don't feel represented is there's not a single word from the administration on marijuana reform. What it's done right now is
FYI, they're arresting people.
Yeah.
There's been word, right?
That's the Justice Department, though. It's a small little place. The administration doesn't really have a.
You're right, that
Anyway,
prohibition going on right now.
Prohibition. People are saying legalize it. I say re-legalize it. It's already been legal. It helped save us a few times in our past. Prohibition rescued us, or ending the prohibition rescued us.
It's what's getting California out of their economy crisis right now.
Same with them. And the privatized prisons would fall with that, as well as the deaths and horrible destruction going on in Mexico right now. Without a demand for their drugs, we don't need them. It cuts out all their funding. Except if we disassemble the CIA too. Then that would take away all their funding.
We'd have to get everybody
Now,
off
how
the
are all
coke
those
too.
poor Mexican drug lords going to feed their families?
No bleeding heart liberal conversation tonight, Robert. Lily, is that what you have to say tonight? You're grinding? Is that?
Well, honestly, where my mind still is
Yeah.
is everyone I know and everyone I don't know, I know is struggling and working hard every single day. And I think really what's important in that, like, small baby steps, because we wake up every day and don't feel like we're making massive amounts of change in 24 hours.
Thanks, Lily.
And that's really where my mind is. Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
that one guy that said on the video, don't pay back your loans. Don't do
Serious.
it. They will never come knocking at your door asking for their loan. Money's gonna, they're not gonna like.
Lily, I'm voting for you for president.
Yes.
I seriously.
Anybody that's got loans, do not pay it back. The only way we will make things like, even with the whole like confusion of legalizing a plant, the only way that it's legal is within those people that are already using it medicinally without caring what like, they just do it without exercising your freedom. That's what you want to do. You know?
Yeah.
The only way it will be legalized is if you just do it.
Oh, another thing. Economic justice. Not one person involved in this entire collapse of our economy, world economy, has seen a panel. Not even an oversight committee.
What's that?
Not one person's gone to jail.
For the economic crisis.
Yeah.
Got it.
Accountability would be nice, but I guess you can't point a finger. Yeah.
To get through everybody here tonight. No, it's a speaker. Yes.
Hello, I'm Harmony.
Hey, Harmony.
Sarah, it's nice to meet you again. The first time I went to a Lou's store that I ever got.
Yeah. Oh, hey. Hi. Sorry.
I finally made it in.
Yeah. Yay.
Beautiful place here.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you. I just found out about this whole Wall Street thing about yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
My head is kind of been in the sand. And it's because the couple times that I turned on NPR, my heart broke. And I felt my vibration lower. And I knew that that wasn't helping. So I just turned it off and I turned off some happy music.
Perfect.
It made me feel better. And it has a ripple effect. So Brianna noticed that while I was walking on the path today, that I smiled and said hello to the people that I was passing. And that's because I haven't watered that seed of fear by listening. And I've talked to a couple of my friends, I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm out in the media, and I hear there's something going on Wall Street. I came here tonight thinking that there was music. It just didn't get to me.
create the songs tonight?
I'll stand up.
Yeah.
I'm Brianna. I've been in here a few times. Currently a student at Bellevue College, and I'm on a medicinal path. Kind of torn between two worlds, Western medicine and natural medicine. I moved here as a single mother and nobody. And I wanted to go study natural medicine and to learn about me financial and relational stability. And now I'm here in Redmond, and I'm watching my path grow, and I'm feeling that I'm being prepared more and more for that time to break out and share all the information that I have. And right now, I'm still on the precipice before I jump off and share all that information. But I just want to let everybody in the community know this is my path. If you have any, questions, health-related questions, on basics of a Tuesdays.
Awesome.
And I've been a ramen chef for years, so that's what I have to give to the community, is my knowledge. And you look at the people who occupy Wall Street. I'm the person managing the fund. I'm the person with the labeling solutions.
Yeah.
I'm support staff.
Yeah.
Sarah, I
Yeah.
emailed you. What do you need? Volunteer that kind of thing. I'm your girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Uh-huh.
And anybody else around here, tell me your needs, and I'll see what I can do.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for being here tonight. Yeah. Yeah.
I won't say my name. I've had Big Brother on my case for the last 49 years.
Yeah.
As recently as last week.
Yeah.
I was in Canada. And, but I will say that I am a representative of the Born to Run generation. And, for the paradigm shift, dreamed about 911 in 1986 when my kids arrived and started really working with the holographic universe to, reverse
Yeah.
whatever could be reversed in that time sequence, and landed into a mom's talking. We all felt it too. We all, kind of felt the vibe. I mean, this is the basic generation through Oklahoma City bombing, Columbine.
Mhm.
That's this generation, and we're going to turn around and get kids back. And so, meanwhile, we all had these pre-911 things.
Mhm.
What we did is in the college house, the force of the foursome, or the force of the fivesome, or the sixsome, whoever we could ever, get to go with us.
Yeah.
Who happened to be available. And we just started doing like a group, actions, bringing that, bestowing that on the kids. Like, for example, one week, someone would say, okay, I'm going to go, I really think, reptiles are really big, and we're going to go to a new planet. But, I really think that's really important. I want that value passed on. I'm going to go visit the reptile farm with the kids. And then another week, we go to the science fair. And bearing in mind, the paradigm is that creating this whole different inertial frame was that the best things in life, money can't buy.
The best things in life money can't buy.
With that,
Here,
it's not
here.
about the money.
Yep.
Value.
It's not about the money, it's about value. I hear that. Thanks for being here tonight and sharing your voice. Troublemakers in the corner? Either of you guys? Yeah, I can tell, right?
So, my name's Wilder. I wasn't here for the whole main discussion, but I was involved in saying, you all have a lot of really good points. I like this. I guess I start where, kind of what Robert was talking about when he was saying how we have, the world is extremely complex. We have so many issues with our agriculture, issues with our education system, our political system, our financial system. I mean, people, like, that, or the kind of have to take things slowly. We have to create more of a plan and figure out a good starting point, which is kind of what you were bringing up before. You were saying you teach young kids, right? So you're saying you empower the kids to, go and do about what they really feel they want to do or something, right? That's kind of what you're getting at. So we kind of have to start with the younger generation, which means we should start somewhere around an educational system. But the problem with our educational system is it's controlled by the political system, which is controlled by lobbyists, which is controlled by, so it's this huge loop.
Yeah.
There's really no way to change it drastically except to get everyone involved. And I think we haven't really been able to pull anything off like this before because we haven't had mass communication.
Yeah.
The internet has put everybody in communication. If it wasn't for that, I'd be willing to bet most of the people in this room wouldn't even know about these revolts over on the East Coast and things that are happening all over the East
Yeah.
Coast. We won't know anything about this. So technology is actually one of our greatest powers. We cannot censor the internet like we can censor other major media outlets. Some of the other things I wanted to talk about was we can't really force change to happen. We have to follow the system the way it is and repair it slowly, like what you said before by the political system, where we have like this pissing contest between the two parties. Like, oh, we're better than you, or no, we're better than you. And it turns into more of a war of who's going to win. It's like two baseball teams, Red Sox versus the Yankees. Pick what you will. They're both just teams or whatever. And we kind of have to eliminate the whole profit in whatever respect that is, if it's monetary or it's fame or it's legacy, whatever it is, from these high political positions and get people that are more involved in their communities to really make these decisions. But this is a really difficult task that we've been trying to do since any government has really existed. People are always revolting against their government. No, you guys are doing it wrong. Let us try, and then they do it wrong, so forth. It's actually, there's a really good movie made by Woody Allen called Bananas that really brings this point about pretty well. That they take over the dictatorship, and then he goes insane. He's like, people under 16 are now 16. Other word, must be born on the outside, so we can check it or something insane like this. So it's really, I like all the points everyone's been bringing up about, overcoming the fears, empowering the kids, and building a better community, because that's the only way we can make these changes. We kind of have to take it slow and analyze where to start in our own little areas. Make everyone's life better is the thing.
Thanks for the insight tonight.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Thanks for using your voice.
My name is Jamie. I've been a coffee addict here for
Hi, Jamie.
when I first found SoulFood, I was a college student, and I am now in enough debt that I can buy my parents a really nice house in Nebraska.
Yeah.
But I accept that that's my responsibility. I signed those papers. It's my bill to pay. And, since I've graduated, because I did what I thought I was supposed to do, I realized there's not a lot of opportunity to make video game art in Nebraska, so I came out here. And by the way, video games and spiritual nature here are very opposite. It's hard to find somebody to talk to on both levels. So I did what I thought I was supposed to do. I went to college. I got a job right out of college. I got laid off. Recession hit really hard. I should say, not that I've been homeless, but I have been in that long-term state of couch surfing more than once. And because I'm still here and I'm very grateful, people have let me into their homes because I have tried to do something about
privilege and an honor to have a place and be part of a place like this. And it kind of gets back to that part of Sarah and I and May and Katie that that we believe that this is a place for all voices to be heard and for us to see each other. And those are our two biggest guiding points here. With that, has everyone that said what they wanted to say that hasn't spoken yet? Just to make sure that those voices. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I would say, I was going to mention before that, I think a really good starting point is actually the spiritual revolution. I think our entire race really needs a huge spiritual revolution before we evolve further technologically or politically or anything like this. Because right now we're just abusing this technology systems we have. So that's probably.
Yeah, we definitely believe in the importance of a spiritual nature, in the sense that we all have our connections to our makers, and celebrate the education of that here by being able to dive through books. It means a lot that you guys came out tonight to have this conversation and to be here for the over 2.5 hours that we've been speaking without stopping. Here, thanks to the coffee. Thanks to Lily and Craig to hold a post up there. John, thanks for streaming us to the world tonight. Is there anything that you'd like to say to?
You know, the only thing I think I would like to say is just, you know, this is your community, and they're a safe group of spectacular people that have an amazing amount of resources, and you guys have shared a really good space, and so to continue that forward.
Yeah, thank you.
I think May wants to say.
And May, you want to say something?
She's like, no.
How about a round of applause for everyone who's used our voices? We'll leave things with the last project that Sarah and I have been working on as a positive motion forward, a documentary film called Within Reach, a documentary inspired by Sarah, who asked my cousin a question. If you could do anything you wanted to do and money wasn't an issue, what would you do? He answered that by doing this. And this is the motion moving forward. The film is just hit its world premiere, and we'll be
If you could do anything you wanted to do and money did not matter at all, what would you be doing?
So I found myself working really hard at a corporate job to pay for all the things I thought I needed.
I wanted to live more sustainably for over 10 years, but I felt like my life was missing something.
I simply asked myself the question, how can I pass along a lush, beautiful, sustainable world to future generations? The answer came loud and clear. This is our home until we find a new one.
Just taking one step at a time, and that gets me through the day.
Yeah, you got a little psychologically rough.
What am I really looking for? What am I seeking? What am I...
Although America has a reputation of consuming an awful lot of stuff and an awful lot of energy, nonetheless, there's something about the American disposition which is often predisposed towards wanting to create community.
The technology's out there, the land is out there, the money is out there. So what it comes down to is organizing humans harmoniously to be able to kind of work with all of those resources and create something beautiful.
We wanted to create an example of what could be done.
An example of
how people could live sustainably.
It's a place where all of us can live our values.
And it's about land not being private, it's about land being a collective space, and that children are running around and creating community, and that goats are running around and creating community, and that chickens are going from one place to another. And
a place of synergy that everyone feels a part of, rather than somebody wins and somebody loses.
You get the irresistible revolution. Everyone's giving, everyone's receiving.
If we can do that with a group of 10, hopefully it keeps going, you know. So.
This shouldn't just be a retreat that you go to once a year. This should be your life.
The thing that I've learned that on this journey more than anything that I would love to share with other people is when you know what you want in life and you really truly passionately go after it, the universe will open doors and help you find the way through it all.